So chief complaint. So we have to listen to our patient's chief complaint. If he comes in the pain or discomfort in the right lower six, and we say that upper four is root stem, I want to extract that because I'm good at extraction. No, it doesn't work like that. So if the upper is very bad, where it is going for extraction or something else, you should attend the right lower six. What was his chief complaint? And explain him, this is your chief complaint. That's okay. This is the treatment plan for that. But you have other things. Okay, but you have other things. This is the thing, other upper four, and here that you can tell him according to our phases. The next comes medical and history taking. Medical and dental history we should definitely take, and examination, intraoral and extraoral. All these things will give you some data. With that data, you should diagnose the thing, differential diagnosis, then come to the exact definite diagnosis, and you should give the treatment plan. So at the time of your OPD, so what are the questions you have to ask when the patient is having pain? So you should ask always open-ended questions so that he should express you. Like when did the pain begin? Then he'll be saying that like cold, hot, sweet, all those things he will be telling us. Okay, with that listening only we should have at least two or three differential diagnoses. Then after complete closing, you should have a perfect diagnosis, definite diagnosis. Did or does anything initiate the pain? Once initiated, how long does the pain last? Is the pain continuous, spontaneous, or intermittent? Okay. If it is continuous, what is your diagnosis? If it is spontaneous, what is your diagnosis? Dr. Priyanka. Okay, if the pain is continuous, then we have to say that C delta fibers have been involved and it is pulpal pain.
Reversible pulpitis.
Yes. Okay. Does anything makes the pain worse? That one. Does anything make the pain better? These are the things we have to ask. If it is swelling, when did the swelling has started? And that thing we'll be asking from the patient. Palpation, percussion, all those things, this landmarks, up to how much it has been extended, all those things we have to see ourselves. Okay. Now classification of pulpal disease. Till now we have done with the just terminologies and basic information. Now comes to our diseases, pulpal disease. So different Grossman has given some classification. Many doctors, many scientists has given different classification. Out of the latest one is American Dental Association classification, which we are following now today. So these are the list of scientists who has given the pulpal diseases. The most known familiar is the Grossman's classification. Since we are not following this now here, but let me go through once. Pulpitis means inflammation. It can be reversible or irreversible. If it is reversible, it can be acute or chronic. Acute means it is symptomatic. Chronic means patient has taken antibiotic or anything, stimulus has happened and it has become a asymptomatic. Irreversible pulpitis, acute, absolutely responsive to the cold and response to the heat. And chronic, uh, irreversible pulpitis, acute, abnormal response to cold. In this situation, you should not try any pulpitis, IDPs or anything. You should go straight away with the endo. Again, chronic asymptomatic with pulp exposure, hyperplastic pulpitis, internal resorption. And second classification is pulpal degenerations. Due to the aging factors and many other factors, calcification may occur, atrophy may occur, fibrosis may occur. Last is the pulp necrosis. This is the famous classification by Grossman. And again, classifications are there, Cohen's classification, everything we are not following now. Now, what we are following is the classification based upon the American Association of Endodontists. So here they have classified into basically as pulpal in origin, periodontal in origin. Okay, in pulpal, normal pulp is one thing, reversible pulpitis, symptomatic irreversible pulpitis, asymptomatic irreversible pulpitis, pulpal necrosis. Now they have added, Grossman did
क्या
not.
है पेशेंट का?
Okay, any issues? Okay, pulpal necrosis. In Grossman, we did not had this previously treated. Now in American Association of Endodontics, we have this part. Previously treated. That means once we have done, somebody has done the root canal and it went to the failure, and previously initiated, like somebody has done the access opening, but patient could not turn up. Now we are doing the complete treatment. That is called as previously initiated therapy. So these two diagnoses is the latest now, because all of them are treating a part of 20 to 30% of this only. So as I said, American Association has given pulpal diagnosis, periapical diagnosis. They made our life little bit easy. In pulpal, we have gone through. So normal pulp, you all know it is asymptomatic, but mild to moderate transient response to the thermal electric stimuli. But pulp can say that you are eating ice cream. Pulp can say that you are drinking tea. It can say that. Okay, the stimulus that is called as normal stimulus. Don't get confused with the normal and abnormal. So that is a normal. Like if I'm eating ice cream, pulp will have some cooling. That is again a normal. When I have stopped eating ice cream, it will become normal. In any pulpitis, if I'm eating ice cream, I'll have a sharp pain. Okay, that is called as pulpitis. Reversible pulpitis. So it is symptomatic, thermal, usually cold. Stimulus causes quick, sharp, hypersensitive, transient response. No complaints on spontaneous pain. They'll not say causes by an irritant. So let us see the flow chart. Okay, reversible pulpitis. Patient will be saying that discomfort or pain on sweet, cold food and beverages. It lasts for few seconds, then relieved. Pain never spontaneous. Okay, and if you do cold test and electric pulp test, response positively enough for the diagnosis. So radiographically will not have any changes. Here the treatment is only restoration. Symptomatic irreversible pulpitis. As the name itself is saying, it is symptomatic. Let us see this flow chart. So what symptoms the patient says? Spontaneous sharp pain. Okay, that means A delta fibers are involved here. Lasts for a minute and hour. That means it's a prolonged. So it's going to the C fibers. The poorly localized referred pain. That means from here it is radiating. So a V3 channel. Now V3 channel has been started. Interfere with the patient's sleep. So I'm not getting sleep properly. Like that they'll be saying. Aggravated by hot. Chalo, done. Aggravated by hot. Then what is the treatment? Definitely root canal. There is no other choice. Again, if you do test clinically, heat test and heat test, then they will show positive to that. And cavity, when we start preparing the cavity, we can see canals are opened. Radiographically, only cavity we can see involving the pulp. No periapical changes we can't see, because it has not progressed beyond the pulp. Asymptomatic irreversible pulpitis. Same cavity is reaching to the pulp, but patient had a history of pain, but patient is not having pain now. That is called as asymptomatic, as name itself is saying. But the cavity is there. If you ask the patient, he'll say that I had a pain 6 months back or 8 months back, but after taking some medication, or he will be saying that like it by itself it has subsided. That means it has become asymptomatic. Pulp necrosis. Again, it is also asymptomatic, Slowly the pulp will get necrosed. So again, it can be a partial or total. Then specifically color change will happen. So patient doesn't have any sign, anything. Only he comes to our clinic by saying that the color of the tooth is changing. That will be his chief complaint. Earlier my tooth was bright enough. Now it is dull. If we see the tests, all the tests will be negative because the pulp got degenerated and necrotic. Radiographically, it has not involved the periodontium, so everything will be normal except the cavity reaching to the pulp. That evident you can see. So previously, this is a new thing which has American Dental Association has added. So previously treated pulp. If you see this radiograph here, the cleaning and shaping of the tooth has not been done properly. That is the reason there is a radiolucency in the apical region. Then definitely you have to treat by doing re-root canal treatment. So what could be the reason for this? One thing is that cleaning and shaping has not been done that. So below the GP point, you can see the vital pulp which has been infected earlierly. That bacteria has invaded, it went into the bone and it has made the things abscess and widening of the PDL. From here, we start our periapical diagnosis. Okay, periapical, as the name itself says, the cavity, the infectious toxic, bacteria toxic has been invaded into the periodontium, apical, at the apical region. So apical periodontitis, acute apical abscess, chronic apical abscess, symptomatic apical periodontitis, asymptomatic apical periodontitis. We have only 4 diseases here. So as the name itself says, symptomatic, patient will have symptom. Apical means at the tip, at the apex of the root, there is a widening. As the name itself, periodontitis means widening. So how patient will come to us? Apical periodontitis, pain on biting and mastication. That is the chief complaint. Now again, you have to differentiate this one with the class 2. Okay, in class 2, what will happen? It may not reach the pulp, but the whatever the food was accumulated in the class 2, when the patient bite, the food gives pressure on the pulp and patient will be saying that pain. Okay, so pain on biting means first should be differential diagnosis should be, it should be a class 2. Take a radiograph and see is it apical periodontitis or not. It can be an ideal class 2 also. Test percussion and palpation response positively. So radiographically, as the name itself is saying, there is a widening. Asymptomatic apical periodontitis. Patients are asymptomatic, but at the apex you can see nice radiolucency. Okay, and slowly there will be a color change. Slowly, but patients are asymptomatic. Here also we have to do pulp therapies. Chronic apical abscess. Okay, due to they have taken apical periodontitis was there. They have taken antibiotics and they have not started their root canal. Slowly, what will happen? It will become chronic, and it forms a false root called as sinus tract. From that false root, I said, pulp if it is inflamed, it should have some opening so that to relieve the pain. Since it could not get that, then it will start creating a false root that is called as sinus tract from the buccal side of the things, because there the cortical bone is very thin. It forms a false root and it releases its inflammation. That's the reason patient will not have pain in chronic situations. So how does the patient comes to us? Little or no discomfort, tenderness of tooth on pressure, swelling at the apical areas and pus formation. This is the main chief complaint of the patient. In few situations that patient doesn't know that, he'll be saying that I will be getting a swelling over there, then the swelling get bursted out and again I will not have pain. I got habituated like this from last 2 years. So this clear-cut diagnosis, chronic apical abscess, then you should say counsel to the patient, this is the main etiology of that. Once we treat your etiology, this can get subsided. Acute apical abscess, rapid swelling. Okay, here the swelling will be very glossy, shiny. Okay, and very like if you make a hole, yellow color fluid will start discharging, and patient will have, it's an acute situation, so patient will have a severe pain. Spontaneous pain, tenderness, an apical area, there's a pus formation. Okay, percussion, palpation, both are positive, and radiographic, they are widening of the PDS. Okay, sometimes what happens, it couldn't make the channel out and make itself relieved by sinus tract. Then what can be other situation? So due to the constant irritation, okay, at the pulp chamber level and dentin level, we had formation of tertiary dentin, secondary dentin. If the same reaction occurs at the apical areas, at the apex of the tooth, then they form a condensating osteoarthritis. So the bone will react and the bone will form sclerotic. Okay. So based upon this picture, you have to say what are the things now. The first one shows the pain. Second one is swelling. Third one is it can be acute or chronic abscess. Again, fourth radiograph of abscess. Fifth one is fistula and the severe formation of sinus tract. It formed into the fistula. Pulpal necrosis, history of trauma. So these are the different diagnoses. So let us see this one. This part I have already told you. It's a recap. Okay, how this pulpal things will progress. If this is our tooth. Okay, and this is our pulp. At the enamel we have studied only enamel like white chocolate and will give fluoride. If small cavity will do composite. If it is big cavity will do composite. If this needs into the pulp will do IDPC or the indirect pulp tapping. If it comes, then the starts the normal. So normal pulp. Okay. Then it comes a reversible pulpitis, means up to the involving up to the dentin. Irreversible pulpitis means it has involved the pulp. Then what are the things it will happen? So first it forms a symptomatic irreversible pulpitis. The first possibility is symptomatic irreversible pulpitis. Then the patient will come to us. And again, few patient will have due to the strong thing, this activity or due to the some toothbrushing or fluoride toothpaste, they can turn up into the asymptomatic irreversible pulpitis. Again, few patients may turn up into the internal resorption and few into the chronic hyperplastic pulpitis. So at that time, at that level, at this level, if the patient is not taking treatment at this level, then slowly the pulp will turn into the necrosis. After a strong time of this necrosis also, patient doesn't turn up, they will turn up into the calcification. Then slowly the pulp chamber get decided, they can decide up to the floor level. They'll slowly get decided and osteitis, all those things will happen. So this is the sequence. So diagnosis of the pulpal diseases I have told you. Okay. Now these are the diagnosis. What is the treatment of those? So treatment plans in endodontics. So these things we have seen the diagnosis treatment plan. So plan of treatment, no treatment when there is no definite diagnosis. So if any pulpal involvement and periodontal involvement is there and you have done only pulpal, but you have left the periodontal, then recurrence will be there and you will be having a failure. So you should know the definite diagnosis, then only you can do the treatment. Other than those, other diagnostic things are like you have to check for the mobility, periodontal pocket, sinus tract, cracked tooth syndrome, bite test. Okay, root canal. So, how is the root canal basics? So, any success of a root canal, it depends upon these things. These are the six key factors. If you know these six, diagnose these 6 points, then your treatment is the best. So, you have to see vital or the tooth is non-infected tooth means non-vital. Okay, is the tooth vital or non-vital? Why? Because we have different irrigation protocols for the vital and different irrigation protocols for the non-vital. If you know this thing, then only you'll use the irrigation protocols. Then only it will be chemically sterilized. Then only there is definite success of your root canal and complete pulp tissue removal. Okay, canal should be shaped and root canal system should be cleaned three-dimensionally, mechanically and chemically, and it should be obturated three-dimensionally. Tooth restored with restorative and crown if necessary. So all these things makes our root canal the best. So how we can achieve this? Only and only by doing practice, practice, practice. First time, like we love to do, then we start liking. If we have any hurdles or anything, we'll start fearing. So learn it properly and try to like and love. Main objective of dentistry. These days, the main objective is the prevention of oral diseases and prevention of preservation of natural dentition. That is the objective of dentistry. But the objective of endo is that prevention and elimination of apical periodontitis. So we should do in a such a way that recurrent rate should not be happen. This one endo know that everyone knows. So as this one also I have told you, endodontic success, it is not like if I do nice access opening, my endo is success. We can't say like that. So all the things, first diagnosis, treatment plan has to be done, and you should have a, this is the straight line axis, then canals has to be located, then you have to negotiate it, clean it, and restore it, do the root canal filling, do the post endo restoration. All these things will make the endo as success. So endodontic treatment, it is mostly of three types, that is root canal, re-root canal and surgical RCT. Endodontic root canal, so we will be teaching you. It is a very big subject. I'll take one day and I'll complete how to do root canal step by step. Axe opening, BMP, cleaning and shaping, obturation. That each and everything we have to teach. We will teach you. In nutshell, endodontic treatment. Re-root canal means removing the GP, previously filled GP, and do the root canal. Surgical root canal means like after doing root canal, you have to do endosurgeries. Like that is we called as retrograde root canals. I'll be showing you that one also. So how do we do? If any sinus tract is there and cysts and abscess are there, we have to remove the sinus tract. If it is cyst, then complete enucleation we have to do. If sinus tract, incision and drainage is sufficient. So if any cyst is there, we have to do trypnation. So what does it mean? So first you have to complete the obturation, regular root canal. If possible, give post-endo restoration. Then raise the labial flap and imagine the root apex. From there, remove the cyst with complete enucleation you have to do. Then at that level, you have to fill the MTA and seal. This is a picture showing that. Okay, so this is the treatment modalities. Simply root canal, root canal, and endosurgeries. Now you all can unmute yourself one by one. So I'll be giving you few cases. Let us see the diagnosis of that and treatment plan. Case 1. Dr. Priyanka, you can read now. Other doctor will be saying the answer.
Mandibular right first molar had been hypersensitive to cold and sweets over the past few months, but the symptoms have subsided. Now, there is no response to thermal testing, and there is tenderness to biting and pain to percussion. Radiographically, there are diffuse opacities around the root apices.
So here we have got differential diagnosis. Pulpal necrosis, okay, with apical, because biting he is saying. So apical periodontitis, what he is saying radiographically, we have seen diffused opacity. Different, you can see in this radiograph now, at the apex, able to see, appreciate it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yes, that is at that level also patient had tertiary formation, that is condensing osteitis. Okay, this is the diagnosis. For all these things, the treatment is one and the same. We have to do a proper root canal treatment. Nafiza, Dr. Nafiza.
Case 2. Following the placement of a full gold crown on the maxillary right second molar, the patient complained of sensitivity of both hot and cold liquids. Now the discomfort is spontaneous. Upon completion of endo eyes on this tooth, the patient experienced pain, and upon removal of the stimulus, the discomfort li- upon the removal of the stimulus, the discomfort lingered
Lingered
for
for 12 seconds. That
1
means for 12 seconds he had a pain. Okay.
Responses to both percussion and palpation were normal. Radiographically, there was no evidence of osseous changes.
Okay, so that means that the caries, whatever the infection is up to the pulp chamber, top layer of pulp chamber. It did not involve the interior structure. Okay, we can understand by listening this, we can understand that things. But the patient has sensitivity to hot and cold. That means pulp is involved. We have to do what? What treatment we have to do? Root canal. Okay. Next, Dr. Hina.
Ma'am,
Case
case
3.
3. Maxillary left first molar has occlusal mesial caries, and the patient has been complaining of sensitivity to sweets and to cold liquids. There is no comfort to biting or percussion. The tooth is hyper responsive to endo eyes with no lingering pain.
So here again there is no cavities not involving the pulp. That is the reason only A delta C fibers are not at all involved. So there is no need to do any root canal. Only we have to do cavity preparation. But patient had discomfort on biting, means like it had a class 2. Got the thing? So
Yes,
it is
ma'am.
reversible pulpitis. No need to do any root canal. Only ideal class 2 we have to do. And treat his sensitivity. Once we do a proper class 2 preparation and nice edge bond filling, then that things will go. Okay. So let us see little bit part of at 11:30 I will leave. I think we can complete. Let us know little bit part of antibiotics in endodontics. So a general question: for any root canal, do we need antibiotic? The
No,
answer,
ma'am.
yes, the answer is no. Okay, in which situations we have to give antibiotics? Pulpal any swellings.
Swelling.
Yeah. So vital pulp and pulpal necrosis, acute apical periodontitis, antibiotics not required. Okay, pulpal necrosis with acute periradicular abscess, localized, not required. Spreading, then only it is required. So based upon what conditions we will see now. If penicillin is outdated as a theory, I'm saying you, but these days we are not giving any penicillins. Okay, the thing which we are using in our clinic is amoxicillin. If you are using plain amoxicillin, pedo dose is 250, adult dose is 500 mg. Then you should give 8 hourly. So that means in a day 3 times, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Okay, if you are using amoxicillin with clavulanic acid, then you have to give only 2 times, at the breakfast time, at the dinner time. So here we write a prescription called as Amox 500 mg TID for 3 days. Or if it is too much heavy swelling, then 5 days. At the impactions, we can extend up to the 7 days. And for impaction, plain Amox will not work that great. Okay, we have to start with amoxicillin with clavulanic acid. Okay, here we are giving 2 days, morning and dinner time for 7 days. Again, if somebody is allergic to amoxicillin, then we can go to the clindamycin. If it is clindamycin, 300 mg for pedo, 600 mg for adult. Again, it is 4 times a day. Metronidazole, any swelling is there and widening is there, then also you can add metronidazole. Like we have seen periapical diagnosis, 4 diagnosis: acute, chronic, abscess and periodontitis. In acute, you can leave it, but all the rest of 3 things you have to give metronidazole. Next, any allergic to amoxicillin, then you have to give azithromycin. When you are giving azithromycin, there is no need to give metronidazole. Local anesthesia includes lidocaine, penicillin. This is also outdated. Okay. So if you are giving clindamycin, I told you azithromycin. Yeah, azithromycin only once in a day. 500 mg once in a day. And very rarely corticosteroids, acyclovir and corticosteroids very rarely. So these type of swelling cases, we usually go with augmentin medicine. So only you have to give analgesics. Analgesics always with the aceclofenac. Diclofenac will give little bit of acidity. So our prescription should be like this. First is antibiotic, that can be amoxicillin based upon the patient requirement for the swelling case. Then next comes the metronidazole. Then comes your painkiller, that is with aceclofenac with paracetamol. Don't give diclofenac. If pain is very sharp, acute like that, then you can add with Ketrol DT. And the next comes, ask the patient about the antacid, acidity problem. If he has something that issue, then you can give antacid. Again, like we can go with Pantop or Omaze. Then after that, if patient has a history of any surgical things like implant or maybe impaction or anything, then give multivitamin. Okay, like this you have to write your prescription. Okay, Q&A. Let us start Q&A. If somebody is having any issues, let me know.